It is Saturday morning, and everything masculine could use a lesson in sharpness, so cue the barbershop.
The animal buzz of clippers.
Oil sheen dense is memory hanging unmoved in the air.
This is where we learn the geometry of manhood, all its angles brought together by blade or basketball.
Call it what you will, but this is how we get well. By sitting for a spell or three and letting a rough hand groom us presentable.
And the game is on, because men are always playing, whether it be a woman or a game, we swear we win every time.
In the barbershop, there is no room for loss. Suddenly, no one has ever lost a match or a cousin or a marriage to time.
Men tell stories, hero themselves to test who has left the most hearts broken. From them, I learned that nothing is too beautiful to dispose of. When I enter, I am welcomed by a chime that lingers like a school bell and follows me behind my little brother who crosses a sea of fallen hair to dap up his barber and act as ritual as communion and all its catharsis, a weekly reminder that there's at least one person that still gets him in this world, even if it's not me. A year away from home has done more for their bond than 16 could do for us.
I walk into the shop and the men ask me who I'm here with. Because how could I ever show up for myself or stand up for myself? To the barbers, I am just a bobby pin meant to hold a man together. I must be somebody's girlfriend or sister, here to deliver a snack to someone worthy of the locker room talk. Meanwhile, my queerness backs into a corner of my skin and waits to come out again.
I'm called to the chair where I sit above the noise, avoid the probing gaze of my brothers who offer tales of conquest in exchange for manhood. The old heads were no different, just more overlooked. I wonder what my little brother picks up from these conversations, muddled in foreign syllables. My father started taking us to the shop so we at least wouldn't understand what they talk about.
That is to say, niggas ain't shit no matter the language. The playoffs are on, so I ask for the score and I'm given only laughter. They say I don't know nothing about basketball, but if I wanted, I could break their ankles and their hearts, but I don't, and that is what makes us different. How careful I have to be not to wound anyone with language. What they don't tell you about the boys' club is the war going on outside of it. Any nigga could tell you.
A fresh cut could give you superpowers. Nobody could tell you nothing.
Not even know, especially know. The wrong word on the street could get a woman killed, and the niggas in the barbershop will still change the channel when her story comes on the news.
If her story comes on the news.
I walk into the barbershop trailing the blood of everyone these men have hurt. To them, it is just a red dress.
I tell my barber to fade the sides, but leave the top. There's something in how the damaged parts can be fashioned into a sculpture of its own and left in all the right places.
As long as it's not touched, it need not be addressed.
So I sit silently, and the sting of alcohol reminds me that my silence does not protect me, nor the women that these men will lay waste to. My barbers are comforted by how I play bystander. It's one less no to ignore, one less inch to be shaved off. I wish I could turn all the loose ends gathered at their feet into a rope strong enough to unearth the bodies that they've buried beneath the floorboards.
But I choke on my attachment to the boys' club and the community that it offers to those privileged enough to find comfort in it.
So what could I be but uncomfortable? A queer woman in a barbershop is just another curl to be lined up straight. As a child, I craved the specific alchemy of the boys' club, how my brother could leave the house and come back with everything trimmed from him but gold. Teach me to shed like this, to ignore the grown men with eyes stuck to me like I could be their next victory. If I wanted, I could match their big mouths and scuffed Jordans, could grow queer masculinity into the type of monster that could wreck a city's worth of love. And that is what scares me most. That I could slip into toxic and not even feel myself burning. Just because I'm in danger doesn't mean I'm not dangerous. If I've learned anything from the barbershop, it's that for masculinity, there is always a need to get a part of you lined up. No matter the growth, something must always be trimmed.